So anyway, should we start at the beginning and go downhill from there, Brian?
That's usually the way it works, yes. The beginning
Well,
may have been the best parts of the show in some
well, that's why I
respects.
said that, because the beginning, the first match was the only match on the show that actually didn't offend me as a professional in some way or another. And imagine that it was MJF versus Hechicero. And okay, we established that MJF is not only one of their biggest names and the only proven ratings mover that they've got left after they've run the talent off. Um, and it's his hometown, and it's a pay-per-view, and they book him against, as he said, a random unknown Mexican guy, paraphrasing his promo, who was drawn like a badly drawn cartoon character or whatever. And so they've wasted an opportunity to, I don't know, sell some more tickets and get some interest on pay-per-view by having one of your biggest stars in his home arena in any kind of goddamn meaningful confrontation. But having said that, it was the only thing that actually made sense and made a point and the right finish in the right way. And MJF is brilliant because either they said, oh, we've got to give, the hometown crowd, the hometown boy on first to start hot, or he said, get me the fuck out of here before the rest of this thing goes to shit. Because this was the first match. So he's always on. He looks great physically, his facials, his body language. He sells everything, whether it's offense physically or even whether it's just something that's happening with the appropriate animation. And Hechicero didn't fuck this up. He wasn't bad. He wasn't goofy. His mask didn't fall off. He didn't do, 10,000 phony things. And he apparently listened well, mostly, to MJF. Because this was an MJF match, which it should have been. And he gave the people what they wanted to see, while at the same time working with this guy to the guy's level, which is an unknown guy that can do some cool shit. So I'm going to shine a bit. Then I'm going to let him get some heat so that then I can beat him. And that's what happened. And it was a perfect finish. But anyway, MJF, he did his shit. He got a big pop on a strut. He got a big pop on a blatant eye poke. It's just what he should have been doing. Here, I'm going to give two. See, I can actually critique something like this because it's a professional involved instead of just scoffing at the whole thing because there's no hope. There's two things. At one point, Hechicero hid behind the referee.
Hechicero.
All right, Hechicero.
A wizard.
He hid behind the referee, and then he reached around and grabbed MJF by the tights and shit canned him to the floor. Which is a way that a heel lulls a babyface in a boom. But you should never outsmart the babyface devil, because he needs to be the smartest cheater. And you need to put things in his way that could actually happen that don't make him look like he fell for something. If the referee had jerked away from Hechicero when he went behind him and accidentally give MJF an elbow in the fucking short rib where MJF could go, oh, hey, what the fuck? And look at the referee and then let the fucking guy do it. It wasn't like he was suckered in by a heel, but he was caught unaware by the heel's action to someone else subliminally. It makes him look like he didn't fall for something. You see what I'm saying? But the heel still got what he was going for.
Yeah.
Am I being too minute here?
No, be minute. People, this kind of wrestling logic isn't really out there too much. No one breaks down a match like you, so do it.
Well, then they go, but MJF takes back over. On the floor, he runs the fellow into the rail a couple times, gives him the big boot over the rail, pulls him over, throws him back in the ring. And then as he gets up on the apron, he looks away to the fans because he's hot dogging. And old Hetch jerks his arm over the rope, gives him something to sell for the rest of the match during the heat. Very good. However, see previous comment. If you don't want the heel to outsmart the babyface devil, you don't want the babyface devil to outsmart himself. So again, instead of getting up on the ring and then looking at the people like, yeah, I'm so hot, because then you kind of deserve it, you do the deal where you fucking throw the guy in, and as he again rolls past the referee, he grabs the guy's pant leg, which turns him as MJF is rolling in. He stands up, the referee's in the way. As he goes around the referee, the guy can trap the arm and do the fucking deal. He's taking advantage of positioning, but it wasn't MJF's lack of paying attention to the fucking situation that got him fucked. Anyway, having said that, old Hetch moves well, and he had some different looking shit that didn't look completely out of place, and there wasn't like a ton of cooperation. And here's one more thing. They both went and teased a pile driver, but Hetch stopped MJF with a big leaping knee in the corner, and bam! And this one looked great and sounded great. By the end of the night, everybody else's legs were probably black and blue from being slapped to fuck, but boom. And then Hetch turns around and does the strut and flips the people a double bird and got his most heat of the match. And MJF was selling the knee in the corner, but he was in the same position, squatted down, arms hanging over the middle rope, selling, until Hetch came and got him. And that kind of, then it was kind of by rote. It took you, if while Hetch turned around and did the strut, MJF could have dropped to his knees and started selling his jaw, but then he reaches up with the ropes and he starts pulling himself up, and he's wobbly legged at first, so he goes back down to one knee, and as the guy comes, he fires a gut shot, boom, but the heel fucking cuts him off with the eyes and pulls him in for the next move. That way you're not taking attention away from the heel who's doing his strut and his fingering and everything, but you're still moving slowly and selling appropriately, and you've got some kind of life to you to complete the big picture of what the people in the cheap seats are seeing in the arena. Because they're seeing the TV is tighter, but the people in the arena are seeing the heel strut, yes, and all that stuff, but they're also seeing the babyface motionless, just sitting waiting for him to come back and be got. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So anyway, and then MJF fired up and hit the pile driver, but he was selling the left arm, and Hetch again had some good shit to pop the people. He even got kind of a sugar hold on him with his legs, and MJF got a pop for the rope break. Because they were, how are you going to get out of this? He reached the ropes, and there was tension to it and milking. Double clothesline, both of them sold it. And then MJF started his comeback, which was perfect. At about 5 minutes of heat in about a 10 or 12 minute match. That's perfect. Gave him the 9 punches and the face bite. The Long Island Sunrise picked him up, gave him a brainbuster. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Perfect finish. The guy got some heat, but when MJF came back, he's a former world champion. He's one of the biggest stars in the company. He beat the guy. He didn't make it look like it took everything he fucking had. So he started out treating him like an underneath guy, but then he got surprised with the arm, and he had 5 minutes of trouble, and then he came back and put him away succinctly without messing around, because he had pissed him off, and he realized he took him too lightly at the start. But you couldn't have put this together much better if you had to have it. That's what I thought. What did you think?
I have a equally well thought out analysis. I like that MJF wore the Mets colors. I like that. I guess you could also say Knicks colors, but I like that. I think that's really good. Traffic must have been a real bitch because the Met game had a rain delay. So, I don't know. I got to figure out what happened around there. But no, I'm glad Hechicero carried him to a really good match. And I think...
Oh, come on!
I think Hechicero has a very bright future with his, luchador early demolition look or whatever the hell's going on over there. He's a wizard, after all. We'll see if he sticks around.
Does he throw fire?
We will find out. We will find out if Jericho allows that. But no, this was a fun opener. This is all you could ask for. MJF, hometown guy, should have opened the show. Considering what everything else was on the show, there was no other place to put this. It had to open, and it was a good opener. It was they passed the ball off well to the next segment. It was up to them to carry that ball and take it forward, but it was a good opener.
And then fumble. Well, we'll get there.